Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Our Beauty Equilibrium podcast
Welcome
family
to the podcast.
coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. You know what it is. Let's get into it. We have a lovely guest today, Miss Kerrie Jones, and she's a therapist. I've been knowing this lady for. Ooh, we don't even want to talk about that. That's too long. We seasoned.
We seasoned. I feel that.
Yes, but Miss Kerrie Jones, thanks, Kerrie, for coming to sit with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Please tell us about the other side.
Okay, well, I am still a fairly new therapist, but I think the seasoning, right, is all on me. So I'm a pretty good therapist to be a new one, and I studied at Pepperdine, did my hours. Nice. So I'm still getting my hours for licensure, but yeah, I'm here.
What made
That's
you
right.
become or decide to be a therapist?
Life.
Life do be lifing.
Life was
lifing.
Life be lifing, don't it?
And I was a client before I was a therapist. So, the need for therapy is what really put me off the couch and in the chair. Still on the couch sometimes, but yeah, it was. I went through a horrible marriage, and so I know that speaks to some things. But coming out of that, I had to heal myself. And then I realized, like, whoa, this isn't just me. It's a lot of people going through a lot of the same things, and so I turned around and I'm taking what I've gained and I'm giving it to other people.
Okay, so pretty much therapy chose you.
Therapy chose me.
Okay, I dig that. I know I've been in therapy for about 3 years since my mother passed, and it helps a lot, and I have since been pushing the idea of therapy and, just going to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Because we need somebody to talk to.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. I know our community is frowned upon, but it is definitely important that we go seek therapy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We got to pick up where we left off.
Yeah,
Last week we did our question of the day.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was there's a few sites like Forbes and also divorce.com. That's the story we were doing. The question of the day was basically African Americans have the highest divorce rate in the United States right now. I think it was just over 30% of African American marriages end in divorce, and we're just trying to figure out why. Why are we leading in that like statistic right now? And the numbers change, but like why right now? We were trying to figure out like why is that? Like,
and divorce is high across the board.
Right.
So it's just that our community just has the most right now. So, and I know, just sidebar once again, at the start of the year, Lynden and I, we both agreed that, we're going to start pushing forward to Black love and trying to get to that Black R&B music. So once again, we're just trying to figure out why our community is the highest in divorce rate.
I don't know that there's one reason why. I think, I listened in last week and you all were right? I think there's so many reasons. Shima talked about, can we just like each other before we love each other? That's a good start, right?
Shima did hit it on the nail with that, definitely.
Lynden talked about oppression. That has something to do with it, right? And like the question you ended with, Shima, about the middle passage and how much that affects it. I don't think we even know how much that, I don't even think we know everything that happened there, right? There's so many experiences that our people had that we don't even know about. Like, it's not even highlighted about how many men were raped. We know about all the women who were raped.
Right, because that is not going to be talked about.
It's not going to be talked
It's
about.
not.
And so there's so many facets of the experiences that our people had that definitely, I think, impact the way we live today. I do think we're moving away from some of those things, right? Like, when we look at even the food and how we were forced to eat, like, the scraps from the pig and all that stuff that we embraced for so many years, that like now we're not embracing that so much anymore. Nobody wants chitlins as much as they used to, right?
Hey, that is the truth.
So I'm just saying,
Jesus Christ.
I think we're
gross.
moving in the right direction.
Right.
I just don't know that we're all the way there, and I know that some of the residue still exists from that. So, I think it impacts our values. It impacts the way we live our lives, and even since then, there's been so many things that have been done to affect the way we relate to one another, right?
Yeah, I know social media is definitely one.
And I also feel like there is definitely a expression of like dissatisfaction with our, males and females in our culture. It's like you hear a lot of men saying that they can't find X, Y, and Z, and a lot of women saying they can't find X, Y, and Z. And to me, that's something that's like kind of unique for this actual period of time right here.
Yep.
And I know that has a lot to do with a whole lot of different issues too in itself. So it is complicated, but I do notice that could be one like focus, because it seems like I don't remember that before, like in time where we've been at such odds, like
Right.
we really on opposite ends of the spectrum, a large chunk of us.
Hey,
and
you
you got
said
a
it
lot
right,
of us
nigga.
trying
We
to say,
got
well, let's get back to
beef.
the love
Yeah.
and get along. But there's a lot of people that's like, something missing on that side, and they pointing the finger at each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask. I know I read on your website how you personally took your experience and applied it to your education and your plight to heal others, right? So how impactful is marriage and family therapy in basically like healing past trauma?
Good question.
Well, I don't think you can really relate well to other people and have healthy, strong relationships if you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself. And it's not impossible without intervention, but it's really difficult to have a healthy relationship with yourself if you experienced a lot of childhood trauma. Because what children do is really blame themselves for the experiences that they have, right? So you never hear a child who's been abused or like whose parents was a drug. They love their parent, right? They don't blame their parent for not being there for them. Well, they're mad at somebody.
Right.
And it usually, because kids are egotistical, they're the reason why mom isn't showing up. They're the reason why my parents got divorced. I'm the reason why my dad is beating me, right?
Right.
And that's ridiculous, right? You look at a child and
It
you're like,
is.
no, you're not the reason, right? Like you can
Right.
tell a kid that all day, but what's being cycled through their brain is I'm the reason.
That's sad too. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like all these
Yeah, man.
outside things
Yeah.
going on, and you like
Internalize
internalize
everything.
it. That's yeah, it's crazy.
And so when you grow up holding on to all that, then I go through life thinking I'm the reason, and now I gotta bend my back. I gotta do all these things to make somebody love me because I'm not lovable.
Right. Oh,
When we're
that's
all
deep.
inherently
Deep.
lovable.
Yeah. And also I look at it like it's like home cooking too, because it feels like you desire whatever environment you grew up in and you love your parents, you desire that. So even if it's like unhealthy,
Yeah.
you like kind of craving chaos or craving,
You are craving chaos.
you know,
And
it's
it's
scary.
not, and people talk about being a magnet. I think you just said that, right? A magnet, Shima, for bad relationships. And it's not that we're a magnet, it's that we're attracted to it. Because,
That's all we know.
as a little
we
girl,
missed that.
daddy was toxic, daddy wasn't. So now I'm trying to create my daddy in this man I'm trying to love. And for young boys that grow up, mama was toxic, she treated me this way. So now I'm trying to recreate this situation with my mom with this woman. And that's why, you know, a lot of times men feel like
You need to be my mama.
you need to be my mama. And why a lot of women are like, I don't want to be your mama.
Right.
Right? And they start, but we all start off putting ourselves in that position.
Yes.
He's expressing childhood needs, and you're like, okay, I'll do it. I'll be there. I'll be there.
And I think that's because it's very similar. You know what I mean? Like the role as a husband versus the role of what your father was, or the role of my wife versus the role of my mother. It's kind of, you know what I mean? This outside of what? The obvious things, like women are nurturers, they're soft, you know what I'm saying? So like, I can see how those lines could get blurred, is all I'm saying, when you start expecting your significant other to fulfill these parental roles.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because of the similarities.
And that's and like what happens is when you sit in that space for 5-10 years and feeling like somebody's mama, or she trying to be my mama.
Right. For example, if she
You're
don't
not
want to
attracted
cook,
to
you
each
may
other.
say, well, my mama cooked every day. And you see how you can blend it, you know? Or my dad never talked to my mama like that, and this and that.
Right.
And it's like, man, I ain't your daddy though. And then it just get all, you know.
Right. So you gotta settle all that old stuff. You gotta and there's really no way to sometimes you don't even know what's there till you just sit down and start talking about it.
Right.
And you're talking and you don't even know what's coming out of your mouth, but the therapist is like, wait, I just heard you say. And you're like, whoa.
And we have a comment in the chat room from Mimi. She said, the world also doesn't allow time and a safe place for Black healing. We're just assumed resilient, which is not always the case, which leads us into this question. How can people entering new relationships be transparent about their past experiences without necessarily scaring off potential partners or doing too much too soon? Like, how can you do that?
That's a fine line, right? There's a number of reasons why it's called oversharing, right?
Oversharing.
You don't want to be an oversharer. It's exhausting for the other person because all I'm trying to do is just get to know you. I don't want to know your baggage just yet.
All your baggage,
Right?
Absolutely not.
But for you, it puts you in a dangerous situation because if you're oversharing with someone who's abusive, now they're about to take all your information and use it against you, right? So there's a fine line. You have to know someone, like, you know, like Shima said like last week, you got to know if you even like this person before you start divulging all your history and past with them.
And I think a lot of us, we get into situations and we don't even know if we like each other.
See, and go ahead, my bad. Say.
No, go ahead, Lynden, go ahead.
No, I just think that's funny because you just said, like oversharing, right? And you need to figure out when's the right time to start sharing certain things. So many of us though end up having sex before we even get to the point where we can even share other things about us.
Hey,
We've
man,
already
gotta
laid
slow
with
down.
the person.
Slow down.
I ain't got naked with you mentally, right? But I've already had sex with you. This is a layered situation now at this point. Because now I'm super attached to you. I don't even know you like that.
And then them
don't
expectations
even know me
come
like
on top
that.
of that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the expectations get the rolling in. But you should have never laid with this person. It would have been a lot easier to walk away when you realize they was crazy or whatever it is that you don't like about the person.
And
That's just funny to me.
I do think sex complicates things.
I mean, I've done it too. I ain't just, I've done
We've
it.
all done
myself.
it.
I've done
We've
it.
all done
Speaking
it.
from experience, you know what I'm saying?
I do think we're missing a piece though, right? Like I
Go
think
ahead.
there's a piece missing when we're talking about sex, and it's really what's behind that, right? Because I do think that some men have no problem with like laying down with somebody and just moving on, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think women are getting to the place, there's some women who get to the place in their lives where they can be very disconnected from a sexual relationship. So I don't know that sex is necessarily the problem. It can add to
That's
the
what I
problem.
meant. Thank you.
It can enhance the problem. What the real problem is that we have emotionally attached ourselves to someone who we don't even know, right? And we've connected to this place called love or whatever. How do you love someone you don't know?
Wow.
True.
Because inherent is I accept you for everything you are. I don't even know everything you are yet. So I'm committing to accepting you. That's a sticky situation, right? But the reason why we go there is because a lot of us fantasize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's to piggyback off that, when people get in relationships and then they get married too soon. And sure enough, you don't know what too soon or too late is, but I've seen just in my past experience, my aunts and mom and have put that pressure on getting married to their significant other, like, oh, my time is ticking and everything like that. But you still don't get to know these people, and then you're in a relationship getting to know as you're going, and sure enough, you're going to do that anyway. But I don't feel that you should be getting to know somebody while you're in a marriage. You should already have a certain foundation first.
Yeah.
And then you get to know, on an intimate level while you're married. But it takes time to know somebody, because I know just in my experience, when the wall drops after 18 months, that's when you get real comfortable with somebody. That's just in my experience. That's when, you start picking your nose and, start saying some stuff.
It take that long? 18 months?
Nah, the facade game way colder. It's like 5 years now.
Really?
You think it's 5?
You think so?
Oh, yeah, it's way colder.
I think we ain't paying attention.
No,
I think that. I think if it takes you 18 months,
anywhere from 3 to 18 months.
there's a range. There's a range.
Definitely, but when the wig come off, 18 months,
He said when
18 months.
When the wig come off.
That's a year and a half.
I can't overemphasize though the power of fantasy. And I don't even think we all realize how much we fantasize about people.
Yes.
So you meet somebody, and
blinders are
within a couple of interactions, you start visualizing white picket fences and babies running around, and
why
this
it's always got to
person-
be the white picket fence? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I thought about
a black
it.
picket fence.
It's
That's
funny
American dream.
Because of the color of the fence.
Because it was like when I was younger, I was like, I want to
what you
have
see.
a family with a white picket fence, 2.5 kids. I'm
and
like,
a dog.
where in the hell does this fence come from?
Man, we learned that.
It
It was programmed in us since we were in school.
All right.
Right.
Moving right along.
And it continues to be programmed, right? Like the romance. You can't watch a TV show without some love situation,
Even,
right?
I mean, like you guys are saying, even the cartoons, and I think that the introduction to, like you said, fantasy starts with you being like a child, you know what I mean?
Disney.
And when we talk about like imaginative play, like we're introduced and we want to be like holding like a baby stroller and holding a baby and playing like role playing in the wrong. Maybe we should stop that just as Americans. Maybe we're role playing in the wrong, kind of ways. And that shouldn't be like the standard just as a young child. But
Right,
just
just
quick
be a
question.
kid, right?
Exactly, just be a kid.
Yeah.
But another question I just wanted, before we leave this next, go to the next topic is, do you think that people should be completely healed before entering a relationship?
I don't think that's necessary.
No,
I used to say
hey,
I'm just
but
asking.
no.
Yeah, because
Because-
I think you'll be by yourself for a while, because healing is a journey. It's a process, and
I think it's-
you're
go
gonna
ahead.
always be healing. Like we always talk about
Yeah.
behavior is not stagnant. Like so, if you're improving, that's a
I think
trajectory that you're gonna
what's
constantly do.
important is can I deal with your trauma? See, everybody can't deal with each other's trauma. I might be able to deal with what you then went through, so we can work this out. I can help you unpack that.
Or just love you through what you're going through, right?
Yeah,
Like
but I don't think everyone can love someone through what they're going through.
I
I
agree.
think it's like you might not be, you know what I'm saying, built
Yeah.
for this. You might end up knocking her out. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile,
Here we go.
I might be
Let's
a
just
little
say
bit
walk
more,
away, nigga.
Yeah,
I'm gonna save you. We gonna say just
I
walk
might
away.
not knock you out. You know what I'm saying? I might be like, she talking crazy, whatever.
Right, and so,
I don't know.
and so,
All
right,
but
hold
I
on,
do
Cool
think
J.
that there's a level of healing that you have to have when you are in a relationship with someone. So, like, if you go from one person to the next without taking some time to reflect and heal from that,
Right.
right, and even go back and see how the relationship with this person was maybe impacted by some of your stuff in your past, then you're likely to end up with the same person who looks different.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Right? Like
100%.
you're
Oh,
gonna
that's
be,
a good point.
you're gonna
Yes.
be
I like
stuck
that
in-
point.
Yeah, you're gonna be
Yes.
stuck in a cycle, right? You're like, well, why
Yes.
do I keep? Because you're not taking the time to heal,
To heal.
right?
Right.
So
You're looking
there
for that
is
same energy.
exactly. So there is a level of healing. There is some aloneness that you need to like
That's
maybe
hilarious.
sit with, and not just sitting alone, but like
Right.
productive, right?
Right.
How many times you hear people say, so what happened with this one? Man, she was on the same shit as the last one.
Yeah, it's you.
It's you.
Yes, it's
You-
true.
You're picking like your favorite piece of fruit
You keep rolling.
over and over and over again.
And then if you're not healing, you the one who might be good for you, you keep being like, oh no, she's
That
boring.
part.
I don't
Right
like
past,
that.
yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Hey,
Right in
that's
your
a
face.
great point because we hear a lot of times people will see somebody and it's almost like, no, this is too easy. I can see the happiness. I want a challenge. I want somebody to, and you start looking
Right.
again for the toxicity.
I remember being 20, being like, I need somebody to just tell me shut up sometimes. No, I don't.
Hey, so is that person that you know, like, I know if we was put together, I would be straight. I don't like her. Is that person?
Possibly.
Possibly,
Oh, they
man.
don't. Oh, that we're gonna be single. Everybody gonna be single. Then. There's always something about that person you don't like.
But see again, like everybody's looking for the spark and the fire in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Then we,
Right.
that means we got
But-
the maturity.
We
It's,
quote
it's
unquote
a slow
bored.
burn. You got to
Yeah.
be willing to go with the slow burn and let the fire grow, right?
Yeah.
Instead of it just instantly raging fire the moment you touch
Right.
down.
Right.
And you might find that the person that you something about them, you actually fall in love, like they were exactly what you wanted
Yeah.
and or needed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We got
So that's the importance, I think, of healing before
Wow.
you move on.
Yeah, man, this is a
Yeah.
good conversation today. Go
But
ahead.
I also think, I'm sorry, let me just add, I do think that it's important that while you are dating to be even introspective and reflective, right? To take time to yourself and spend some time alone and figure out, like, do I like the way I'm showing up? in
Right.
this
Oh, that's
Am I
a good
showing
one.
up for myself in this relationship?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because just because you loving somebody else don't mean you don't love yourself.
Right.
So how do I love myself in this relationship? And if I'm not really loving myself in this, I probably need to go sit down and tap out for a minute.
Yeah, you'll start to neglect yourself.
That is heavy. Yes. Man, that's dope.
All right, I have a question. This is something that I think is kind of a gray area. How can you differentiate between normal relationship challenges and potential abusive or toxic relationship challenges?
That's a great question.
Because some
That is a
people will
good
say, you know, we so quick to say, oh, you toxic at the first sign of we don't agree on something.
Yeah, like, nah, I'm just
And it's
mad.
like, nah, it's okay to be upset. It's okay. Like, we're going to have disagreements. We're going to, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you, what's the like determination factor where, you know, true toxicity versus we just having a moment as a couple?
I mean, I think my default answer is like therapy, right? Because you need to know your triggers. You need to know whether this is them or you, right? Because a lot of people walk around and everybody's a problem. Oh, I'm offended by you. Oh, now this person's a problem. Well, maybe it's you, right? Maybe you have a lot of hot buttons that need to be cooled off
Message.
Right.
and like
We need
reflected
that
upon,
button again.
right?
No, that's a
and
great
so,
That's
but,
a
like,
good question.
You got to know the definition of abuse. I think a lot of us think abuse is normal because we were abused.
Right.
Right.
Some
Right.
of us think it's normal,
Yeah.
right? Like
Hey.
some of us don't know.
Learn
Like
today.
Nah,
Hey,
I
when
ain't gonna
you-
hold you. I know I could deal with some little toxic situations. Like, you know that ain't normal to be able to handle that, right?
And you know
Like,
what's crazy? A lot of people deal with that. I asked a couple of partners last week. I'm like, why do y'all deal with the women y'all want to deal with? And they were like, man, because they got a little bit of this fire. I'm like, but later on they damn near burn your house down
Exactly.
with that
But if
same
you're-
fire.
But if your mom
Nah, ain't no
was
love,
toxic
stupid.
and yelling at you and doing all that stuff, you probably gonna crave that.
It's familiar.
Yeah, it's
it's not
familiar.
even comfortable. It's just familiar. It feels like
It's like,
home.
that's what I know. Wow.
Hey, true.
And so
true.
even if, obviously I said therapy, even if you can't do therapy, having a tight circle of friends, right? Where
True.
you can you don't have to tell them all your business because nobody wants to be you know, just like the overshare, nobody wants to hear everything that's going on in your
Yeah,
relationship. But sharing some highlights with friends and saying, like, what do you think about this? Right? But like friends who are going to be honest with you, friends that you know aren't, you know, have clear perspective. And obviously we have clear perspective when we're not in the situation.
What if your friends are supportive and toxic?
You need some more friends.
Wow, that's
saying.
real. That's
Then
real.
you gonna stay in that cycle, you know?
Because
Yeah.
your friends will tell you too, like, he's boring. Like, they chiming in now and tell
Or you gotta have somebody,
Yeah.
a grandma, a cousin,
Somebody
somebody,
you can lean
gotta
on.
have some, you know, some good
sense.
sense.
So
Yeah.
that's a message. That's a message in itself. Seek somebody
somebody with some
around you,
sense.
always,
Yeah.
who has some sense.
Right. If you can't
Yeah.
go sit down with a therapist, then you know, then find somebody who you can just bounce your experiences off of.
Right.
All right, question. Narcissistic abuse can be incredibly damaging. What are some warning signs to watch out for, and how can survivors begin the recovery process?
Ooh. You know, there's a lot of signs of narcissists. I think we could spend all day talking about those signs. I think what is more important is what's happening for you internally when you're having this experience with someone, right? And that's the thing that, again, we don't pay attention to our gut feelings, right? And deep inside, we know that didn't feel good. But I'm gonna keep going back.
Just the basics, yeah.
Yeah, or like, you know, that drop in your stomach, something just happened, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's really cultivating trust in yourself. And what happens usually when people come out of relationships with narcissists or abusive people or toxic people is it like whittles away at your trust for yourself. Like you feel like you can't even, you're like, I don't even want to date no more. Because I can't trust myself to like pick, right? Like that was so horrible. I don't even understand how I got in this situation. And so it's, I don't know, have you guys, the Risa Tisa videos,
Who?
the lady on TikTok?
I don't know who that recent.
Okay.
We were gonna check it out.
check it
Let
out.
us know.
Well, so there's this woman on TikTok, it was like 50 videos that she shares about her experience of meeting this narcissistic man. I don't even know if she calls him a narcissist, but he was a narcissist in Atlanta. And she's telling us everything that happens. Throughout this whole experience that she's having with him, there are red flags. She's talking about what she thought about. She started journaling. And yet she keeps going forward with this person.
Oh, is that the one that was like kind of like a cult? No? Okay.
No, it was a guy, she called him Legion.
Legion.
That wasn't his real name, but she called him Legion. And
Yeah,
We
that's
gotta
the
check
person
this
in
out.
the
That's the dude who
Bible
has
that's
the-
full of demons.
Phil of Demons. Yeah.
Come on, man.
But it's like 50 videos. It's kind of old now. You know, the
yeah.
train might have.
She called him Legion.
She called him Legion.
Hey, because we are many.
But, you know, he showed up. First day, he got her
goodness.
tire changed. You know, so they do
Yeah.
great things, right? It's the love bombing, right? Even the love bombing doesn't always feel good, right? Like, you're like, this is too much. And somebody expressing love for you and somebody just always calling, won't let you be by yourself. So, you know, that's a huge first red flag. 'Cause
Yeah, I've
nobody
noticed
normal
that. Yeah.
is spending a whole day pelting you with love and calls and attention,
Yeah,
right?
that's weird.
So it's overwhelming, but it also, there's something about it that's overwhelming, but it also feels like validating. Oh, he sees me, he knows me, he understands me. I think he's just feeding you a script.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So being able to recognize that, you know,
Having your radars up to pay
Yeah.
attention
right,
to that.
feel what's happening for yourself. Like, I don't really like it.
All right, we got one more question. I mean, we got one more minute.
What is one key takeaway for everybody listening that you want to leave them with about building healthy and fulfilling relationships?
I think I said it at the beginning. I don't think that you really can fully do that. I think you can move towards it, but if you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, there's always going to be something missing. So fill those holes and those gaps with yourself.
Work on yourself first.
Yeah, or
And-
simultaneously.
Or
Like, you don't have
simultaneously
to-
just be
you-
working on yourself.
Be working constantly.
Yeah. Constantly trying to
Right.
be the best version of you can be. And when you notice things, that don't feel good, figure out what's going on and heal.
I think that's the best
Yeah.
relationship.
And by doing
Yeah.
that, you're already gonna pick people that are better for you. You're gonna
Yep.
improve your relationships with whoever you're with.
It's built in.
Yeah, it's built
Yep.
in.
If you take care of yourself, you will make sure that whoever comes in your life also takes care of you.
Boom, pow.
Okay, and can you tell everybody how they can find you? I'm gonna also put it in the description, but just let everybody know where they can find you at.
You can go to my website, theothersidetherapy.com, or you can find me on IG, theotherSide_Kerrie J.
That's the wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing.
Kerrie, we really appreciate you.
Appreciate you so
Thank
much.
you. That was we had a great conversation today. Make sure you check us
Sweatshirts
out.
on your website as well?
Yes.
Oh, not yet. One day.
Okay.
Okay, coming soon.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
All right,
Yes.
thank you, everybody. That is our show for today.
Yes, make
Have
sure
a
you
good
like,
one.
subscribe, and share. It's free.
Love y'all.
We'll see y'all
We will
next week.
see y'all next week.